everyone, my name is Bailey Matthews, and today I'm going to be talking about plyometrics. So I'm going to be covering a variety of things. We're going to be talking about what exactly plyometrics is and the overview of what a plyometrics program consists of. We're also going to be discussing what a plyometrics program might be used for, when you should implement it, and the benefits of implementing it. We're also going to be discussing injuries and side effects from performing plyometrics exercises. And I also have a sample program design to share with you guys to kind of give you an idea of what that might look like. So what is plyometrics exactly? Well, Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning defines it as those activities that enable a muscle to reach maximal force in the shortest amount of time. So a lot of plyometrics exercises are very quick, fast, and explosive in nature. When is it beneficial, or when is it not beneficial to implement a plyometric exercise? We're going to discuss that. So the benefits are very vast and wide and can benefit an athlete in a lot of ways. So we're going to touch on those. When incorporated correctly, plyometrics are known to greatly increase the production of force and power of the muscle of an athlete. So power is a huge benefit from plyometrics. Another benefit is aerobic and anaerobic capacity will improve when you are implementing plyometrics. So that is a great thing for all types of athletes because you have aerobic and anaerobic. Plyometrics exercises, as I stated earlier, are very quick in nature. So this has a very positive correlation to translate into an athlete's agility and speed on the field or on the court, whether that is like dodging opponents or running up and down a court. And so even the Journal of Science and Medicine in Sport, they did a study on male soccer players, and they found that there was a positive correlation in strength in the form of a one rep max after implementing plyometric exercises. So when we're talking about body composition and change from plyometrics, there's very little research, and a lot of that has to do with an athlete and what sport they play, what their maybe resistance training programs look like, whether they even have a resistance training program. So there's very little information on that. However, for muscular endurance, the Journal of Musculoskeletal Research did release an article on women volleyball players, and they found that there was a positive correlation between implementing a plyometric design program for those athletes and their muscular endurance. So plyometrics can greatly improve a variety of things for an athlete, such as like the power, aerobic and anaerobic capacity, as well as strength and muscular endurance. So now let's talk about the disadvantages, or when you may not necessarily need to implement plyometrics. This is really specific to a sport. Sports are very different in whether or not an athlete's running a lot or using a lot of agility-based movements. So an athlete that plays volleyball, where they're jumping a lot, moving around, doing very quick movements and steps, may benefit a lot more from plyometric exercises versus a golf athlete who doesn't really do a lot of running and is very upper body focused. So there's a lot of difference in there, and it can depend a lot on your sport. There's also very little research so far on the benefits and disadvantages of plyometrics. you're really not gonna see a whole lot yet, but I think in the future there will be a lot more information out there. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the side effects or the injuries that come with plyometrics and implementing that into an athlete's routine. A lot of it has to do with age. Um, Before recently, it was mainly thought that professional and elite athletes would only really benefit from plyometrics, but now we're finding that even adolescents and teens would benefit from it as well, as long as proper technique and form um, is being followed. Which leads me to my next point of technique. Technique is a huge part of plyometrics. A lot of these exercises require a lot of the body, and technique is very important in making sure that an athlete is not getting injured. So, um, if you're not doing the technique right and not having somebody properly train you and show you how to do these exercises, you are putting yourself at a higher risk for injury. And weight is also a big thing to consider when designing a plyometric program and deciding what types of exercises an athlete should be doing. So, the heavier a person is, the more force they are going to be putting on those joints during exercises. Um, Contacts with the ground is a big thing to consider when you are designing a plyometric program. So, contacts means like every time the foot is you're landing on the ground, you're hitting the ground, you're coming into contact with the ground. And whenever you are doing that, you're putting a lot more force on joints such as your ankle joints, your knees, your hips, and then when you're doing upper body plyometric exercises, your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrist. And the heavier person is, the more force you are going to have on those joints. So that is something to keep in mind. I touched on this last one a little bit, but it also just depends on the sport. If you are like I used this example earlier, if you're a volleyball athlete, you're going to be running and jumping a lot more than if you are somebody who plays golf. And so that repetition can lead to chronic, you're using all of those joints a lot more than the golf athlete. So you have a little bit higher risk of injury just due to the amount of repetitions. So here is a example of a program design. I have the exercises listed. We have the 4 hurdle drill, single arm throws, and the jump and reach. I designed this program for a male baseball athlete who is a pitcher. I have the intensity, the number of contacts, sets, the rest, and the volume. So I talked about number of contacts earlier, and that is something important to consider. And then rest is also something that is very important to consider when you're designing a program, as well as volume. And exercise selection, depends on the sport as well. Since this person is a pitcher, their lower body and upper body are being used a lot. So I made sure to implement exercises that would benefit that athlete. Here is my work, my information, and if you guys have any questions about a plyometric design program, please let me know. I will be happy to reach out.